Channel. This is a Bitcoin market analysis video, so do some analysis on the chart. I will do other coins and stocks, gold, silver, stuff like that too, at some point too, but for this video it will just be Bitcoin. If you want anything in particular analysed, put it in the chat and I will do that next. And also if you start getting enough subscribers, enough viewers, I might even start doing it live. So currently, if we run back for what's happened, we've had obviously a parabolic pattern, base 1, base 2, base 3, drop, base 4, parabolic. So that's what's currently happened. Now there's an interesting thing that could happen on this chart currently. So if we zoom in, we go to the 4 hour first. This could very well be quite interesting. So if we drew it something like this, and if we take our brush, this is a cup, because we had our inverse head and shoulders over here, and let's say we moved upwards. Now this is normally cup and tea handles are fairly round on the bottom. This is, I'd argue this is fairly round, so this could very well be a cup and tea handle. Now normally when you form a cup and handle pattern, you have similar consolidation like this as well. And as of right now, we are obviously retesting that, as you can see. So this could very well be a cup and handle pattern. And if that was the case, that would actually put us quite a bit higher than what we are. So if we take a measure move from something like this, get rid of this quickly. Take a measure move from something like this, from break. You're going to do it from the retest actually. That would actually put us considerably higher. Like we're looking at like something stupid like 80,000 or something like that, because that is about a 10k move. Now that could happen, although I think it's very unrealistic. Because if we take a look at the weekly chart, or even any chart, to be honest, don't know what this is on the side here. Right, okay, yeah, anyway. If we take a look at the weekly chart, we have had basically just a straight run up. Like it is bent genuinely just straight run up. Bit of consolidation in this area over here, slight bit of consolidation over here, and now we're having some consolidation over here. And normally when you run up very quickly, you have a downtrend very quickly as well. As you can see over here, it ran up quickly, came down, and we had a harsh correction. But that's just because we're in a bear market, a harsh correction down here. Since we came down so quickly, we came up so quickly as well, obviously. Now, the interesting thing here is if we continue this uptrend, we're probably going to have a very harsh correction, because it's not healthy for Bitcoin to be trending consistently in this range. Because you need to have a correction. So normally a healthy market would move something like, well, something similar to what's going on over here. So we'd have a move upwards, we had a bit of a correction, and we move up a bit more. This is fairly healthy. You have a correction. It doesn't have to be an absurd correction. This is quite a large correction, but you have some sort of correction. Like at least maybe 30-40% is a fair decent correction after a long move like this. Currently, as of right now, the largest correction we have had is about 20%, which was over here on our weekly chart. Now, the interesting thing is, if this isn't a cup and tea handle, this could actually end up being something else. For those of you who've got a keen eye, you would actually realize something here. If you take a drawing something like this. If this is not a cup and tea handle, so we will have to wait and see. This could very well be a cup and tea handle. I don't know why I call it cup and tea handle. It's a cup and handle pattern, right? So your cup and handle pattern is something like this. You have a move down, come back up to similar price, and then you trend somewhere like this. Which, if you look at this, that is practically what we've done here. So that very well could be what is going on here. But to be honest, I just don't really see it going that quickly up. It could be right, that could be it. The part of being a trader is obviously being aware of the market. So if we end up starting to trend lower from this point, you could probably expect maybe, we probably won't bounce at this point again. You might expect slightly lower maybe. Maybe we bounce over here about 56, 57, or maybe we even jump down to 52. And that would be a good indication that we form something as a head. That would be a fairly good indication to form a head on the chart. So if we drew something similar like this line, like that. Let's say we decided to form something like a head and shoulders pattern on this chart. So if we drew something like this, let's say the head comes down to, I don't know, it could come down to 52 maybe, it could come up to about 56. These are all realistic heads. This would be quite steep, and that puts quite a high price, to be honest. So I don't know about that. That may be more realistic, 56-ish. There was some support around 56-ish on the 4 hour. So if you drew a head like that, and then maybe put another shoulder in, this could very, very well be a head and shoulders pattern that we are forming. But that's something that you have to wait and see. So obviously, being part of a trader, you wouldn't enter a position, or you wouldn't buy or sell at this point, would you? You'd obviously wait. Because this could very well be a cup and tea handle, and it does look very much like a cup and tea handle, which is now obviously looking like it's starting to get validated. If we bounce at this point here, so if we drew a line on something like this, we bounce at this point here, that's a good validation on this line, and that means we would obviously go higher, and that'd be a decent measure move. From like there to there, and that would put us about $80,000. That's likely, it's possible. Judging by how the market's been going for the past like couple of months, to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if that happened, because at this rate we've just been going absurd. Like this is a decent move up. This is a decent move up. Like 52,000, I was like, okay, at 52,000 we need to start coming back down. It's gonna add a correction. But as we roll around closer to the halving, it is quite interesting here, because we haven't also had an actual correction. So normally before a halving we either have a nice correction, or we just have some consolidation in a range for a decent amount of time. So we might just have some consolidation around here, and this was about 2 weeks. Maybe this is like, I don't know, 4 weeks. That puts us at about maybe end of April. Halving happens, we have one little bit of a drop, come back up. After that, that pattern's validated. Take a measure and move from here, there to there, move that line up. There you go, there's your price range, and that'd be something absurd. If you want to measure what that'd be like from 70,000 to like 52, 56. That's a quite steep, but that's about 18,000. That would probably put us at about 90,000 if that was to happen. Obviously, don't get the lube out too early. Like, this is not obviously certain. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and that's part of being a trader. You've got to obviously look at the chart, think what could happen, and wait for a confirmation. So right now on the 4 hour, we're waiting for a confirmation for our cup and tea handle. This could play out and we just trend higher up to about 80k, which would be fine. That'd be decent. Or from this point onwards, we actually invalidate this, so we go below this, start going below, trend below, and we start putting in another head like that. And then we do another trend here and come back down. The reason why I don't think this is a cup and tea handle, it could be, but the reason why I don't think it is, this is, normally a cup and tea handle has a fairly rounded bottom. In my opinion, this looks more like a head and shoulders, obviously, because it was a head and shoulders. It's too pointed to be a cup and tea handle, in my opinion. It could very well be it, because it's very conflicting, because I actually took this trade, and also I did lose money on this trade. So this, I saw this as a flag, which was fairly realistic. I took this trade, it broke out over here, and we came up and it was a fake out, and we came back down. So that is another thing to be wary of. So the trades don't always work out, you've got to be wary that the patterns don't always work out. On the longer term time frames are a bit better, so if we do take a look for the 1 day, if that's a head and shoulders pattern, that'd be quite good. But it's obviously, you got to be very wary of what's going on too. The halving, as of right now, if I remember correctly, I think it's like the start of May or something. The start of May would be perfect for this pattern as well, because it just lines up so well. The start of May, so if this took 2 weeks, that'd be a month. That puts us at the end of April, maybe another 2 weeks. That'd be like mid-May. So about May, the halving happens about here. We have a drop down here. Let's see, the halving's here. and then we move upwards from there. And that'd be a perfect indication after the halving that we move up. Historically, on the Bitcoin chart, after the halving, we do tend to have a very large peak following into August. Obviously, past performance is not an indication of the future, so be wary of that. It's not always going to be the same. Sometimes it can be, sometimes it's not. We don't know that. So this is a fairly decent indication that we might be heading higher. But interestingly, if I look at this chart, whether I look on the daily, the weekly, so you look at the weekly, it's a pretty bullish chart. If we take a look on the daily, that's again a very bullish chart. If you look at the 4 hour, that's again a bullish chart. If you're analyzing for the longer term, at the bare minimum, you might use the 4 hour, but realistically you use the daily time frame to analyze the longer term time frame to see what's going on. So by this sake, it does look like it's quite very, very bullish. Now the other thing that could happen, so this is the bearish scenario, so I'll remove all the drawings here. If we take a look at the previous uptrend, so up here, we did something interesting here. So we had our move up, came down, we put another high in. It's exactly what we did before in our chart now. We came down, we set a lower low, and a lower high, and then again set another lower high, another lower high. We zoom out on this chart. Normally, when we start a more of a, let's say, not a downtrend, but more of a correction, we have our move upwards, we come down, and we might get up to the price, but we don't actually get fully all the way up to the price. So we set a lower low, and we lower high, and then we come down again, we set another lower low, and then we come up, lower high, lower low, lower high. And if you're keen with this, that is, what is that? That's a head and shoulders. It could be like that this is not a lower low, and this could just be a slightly higher low than over here, and that could end up being a head and shoulders pattern. For the longer term time frames, you can't just play the guessing game, obviously. You've got to actually, you know, wait it out a bit more. You've got to be more patient with taking these trades. Like, if this forms to actually be a head and shoulders pattern, that'd be a very good position to take as a leverage trade, maybe. Also, if you are leverage trading, this is just warning. Most leverage traders do lose money on crypto. The majority of them will lose money. So you've got to be very, very careful with how you're doing it. Realistically, if you're leverage trading, I don't really see the point of why you'd use more than 5 to 10x leverage. 10 is the max, and you better be really, really confident if you're using something like that. If I do a trade, realistically, if I'm trading with real money, 2x, 3x, maybe 5x if I'm confident. If I'm doing it with a demo account on MXC, then maybe I'll, at worst, maybe I'll use a 10, maybe a 15. Because I'm more confident, because I'm it's not really real money. But you shouldn't do that anyway, because you should, what's the word? Learn to trade properly on demo first, and then, trade on the real after. Because it's a better indication that way. And you build better trading and healthier trading habits. Now, another thing that could also happen on this chart is, like I said, we could be going down here. So we have had our move upwards. This could be the move down, trend over here, come down even further, and then we come back up, come down further, come back up, come down further. Start saying lower lows and lower highs. So there's a lot of things that could be happening on this chart right now. Personally, if it was me, I probably wouldn't take a trade right now because there's too much, what's the word? It's too difficult to really decide which direction to realistically be going, and obviously you want to wait for a confirmation. So on the 4 hour, this could very well be a cup and tea handle. Even if it is, I probably wouldn't take this trade. If it does come down to give or take over here, maybe that's a decent trade to take. We have a nice retest on this line, and then we can move up from there. This could very well be a cup and tea handle, so that would be a decent trade to take. Although I'm not going to take that. Be wary, obviously none of this is financial advice, so If you are going to do anything, this is on yourself. But another thing that could also be happening is obviously we've got a head and shoulders pattern that could be forming. That could be another thing that happens. So there's more of an indication of waiting here. Right, so I wasn't going to do any of the cryptos or anything, any of the charts, but I'll do a couple more just because of the sake of the video. I don't want to listen. There's not really much to do on the Bitcoin chart, so we'll do some other charts. We'll go for ETH, and then I might do a couple others as well. Is there anything particular you want to see me do? That'd be a good thing as well. If you want to put that out there, I'd be happy to do it. Right, let's take a look at the ETH chart. Now, interestingly, the cup and tea handle that we saw on the Bitcoin chart, if you argued that is a cup, if you actually want to draw it properly, actually, if you argued that, let's say it was a cup, right? And this is your slight downtrend here, or your consolidation for your handle. And this is your cup. Is that a cup? Let's be honest. That's not really a cup, is it? It looks very much more like a shoulder than it does like a cup. And if we go onto the daily chart, it doesn't look like either. So the interesting thing is here, obviously most people should know this by this point, most coins tend to follow Bitcoin, and that tends to what happen a lot of the time. And ETH, currently, we haven't set anywhere close to the high of where we were at previously. We didn't get anywhere up here. This could very well be a shoulder, again, something like that. That could be a shoulder. It's not a cup and tea handle on this chart, it just doesn't seem right at all. It doesn't look good. That could be a shoulder. Yeah, head and shoulders pattern drawing thing out. Could be a shoulder. Put a head in, something like that. With the neckline and then put another shoulder. That doesn't look good either. That's another thing. So you'll be very wary what's going on. What could happen is if you take a look at some other charts, right? Because obviously the charts are fairly independent to some extent, but at the end of the day, most coins do technically still just follow Bitcoin. Crow, the crypto.com coin, great coin. I'm not just saying that because I own it, I just genuinely just like the coin. If crypto.com wants to sponsor me, that'd be amazing. I actually deadass would love that, but it's not big enough YouTuber yet. But one day we'll become a big enough YouTuber, and then, you know, I get the crypto.com to support me. Right, again, same thing as on the Bitcoin chart. This is following Bitcoin a lot better than what it was, than ETH is. Could be a head and shoulders. Could it be a cup? 4 hour? No. Doesn't look like a cup on this chart, does it? This just looks like a very good, well-formed shoulder. And that could actually trend down, head, shoulder. Sometimes actually what I like to do, and this might be something that you might want to try, sometimes I look at other charts, purely because of the fact that some other charts can actually give you an indication of where Bitcoin might be going. Because a lot of the time, the charts move together, don't they? It's not like one moves and the other moves. Like, most things tend to follow Bitcoin. Sometimes other charts have a better formed pattern than some other charts, and sometimes it's a lot better than other charts as well. So there's something to be aware of. So sometimes maybe look at other charts too. If you look at maybe some of the other cryptos that you own, you can see it as well. If you take another look, I don't know, let's pick a coin. We'll pick NIR, for example. Actually, we won't pick NIR because NIR's just pumped. What's a coin that hasn't pumped very much lately? This is quite hard to guess, isn't it, at this point, because a lot of coins have pumped. So, yeah, let's just take, I don't know, Avalanche, for example. Avalanche had its pump and it hasn't really moved very much. Avalanche, oh, wrong chart. Avax USDT, Binance. What's going on here? Right, on the 4 hour, doesn't really look like we're doing anything, it just looks like consolidation in this range. Just consolidation. Some of you who might be new to crypto might think this is head and shoulders. There's no head and shoulders here. You could draw it like that, maybe. Nah. You could draw it like that's your head and then that's your shoulder. Again, the prices aren't very close enough. If you draw it slanted, something like this, you can actually have Head and Shoulders like slanted, kind of. Not obviously that slanted, but you can have a Head and Shoulders slanted. So the shoulders don't have to be at the roughly the same price, which is exactly what happened on the Bitcoin 4-hour chart. But in this case, that's not what's happening, obviously. If we go to the 1 day, again, not really much going on here. It's mainly just we're going to move like this, move down, move up. Could this be a flag? No, it's not a flag, because it's just, we've gone like that. That's not a flag pattern. This is just a good example of how most coins tend to follow Bitcoin. And you gotta be wary when you're analyzing small charts, because obviously I know people are newer to crypto. You'll learn that chart analysis is a good idea. It is a good idea, yes, but be wary that while chart analysis is good, a lot of the smaller coins, and I know this isn't a small coin, but a lot of the other coins do genuinely just follow Bitcoin. Is exactly what tends to happen a lot of the time. Some coins might not follow it as well, some coins might follow even harder, but they tend to roughly follow Bitcoin, which is quite interesting. Right, so now I'm going to show some other charts. So I'm going to go for DXY. Right, for those of you who don't know what DXY is, this is the dollar. And fun fact for you who do not know this, when the dollar goes higher, Bitcoin goes down. And I can actually explain this for you, if anybody wants to learn. So when Bitcoin, that's a bad drawing, when the dollar, so we're going to just write D, dollar goes up, Bitcoin tends to go down. It's not always guaranteed, but it tends to happen quite often. And the reason why this happens is the more dollars there are, hence obviously the more price of Bitcoin will go up. It's inflation, right? You learn it in school, it's inflation, isn't it? Right. The interesting thing on the dollar chart currently is the dollar is actually trending up on the daily chart. As you can see, we are actually starting to trend up a bit, which is quite interesting here, because if we are now starting to trend higher on the dollar, that would be an indication that we are starting to maybe reverse our trend in Bitcoin as well. This is obviously a nice, well, it's not really anything, to be honest, it's just a move down and move up. So it would be quite likely that since the dollar is now moving up, that Bitcoin could also now obviously start, moving down a little bit and then moving up again. And that will be a good indication of a head and shoulders pattern again. So I'm very keen on the head and shoulders idea. It does seem very right to me, purely because of the fact that we'll just look at the chart, right? If we have, we haven't had any actual correction other than like 20%. This is like what, 17, 18%. This is what, like not even 20%, but like it's what, like 59 to 70k, 59 to 69. Well, it's 10k drop. Like, for those of you who have been in crypto for a while, you'll know that's not actually that uncommon. Big drops like this are quite common. So, yeah, if you're newer to crypto, you might be a bit unaware of that. So, it's a good thing to be wary of. And this is exactly why you shouldn't overly leverage on your trades. Because exactly what happens. Because if you entered a trade here, right, on a 10x, a 10x gives you a leeway of like, I don't know, I think it's like, let's say you enter at 70,000, right? Actually, no, we'll do it for example of this. Let's say you entered your trade at 68k, okay? And it moves up to 69k, you're in profit, but that move was a very quick move down. This move was a very fast move down. If you enter at 68k, on a 10x leverage, it needs to move down by obviously 10%, and that would be your money gone. Obviously, exchanges have to protect themselves as well, because it's technically they're loaning you the money. So normally you get liquidated at 80% of the way down. Now, 80% of the way down, so 10% of this move would be 6,800. 80% of this, if any of you are very good at math, I am not, but 680 times 8, if you move the numbers over, 4,800 plus, that's like 5,440. So you can take a 5,440 move. That's like 68,504,000 move. You get 60 what? 2, 5, 6, 0, give or take. So you probably get liquidated about that price. Now on this move, if you look very carefully, we actually moved down to 59k. And if we look on the hourly chart, if you zoom out, I hate this line thing because you can't zoom while you're using the line. Oh, also, by the way, if anybody knows how to, right? So you can zoom in over here. I made the chart bigger. I don't know how you draw while the chart's bigger for some reason. So I don't actually know how to do that. So if anybody knows how to do that, that'd be amazing. I'd actually love to know. Is this our move down 59? I think that's our move. Was that 69? Yeah. Says it would move down to 57. Yeah, it was about 59 move. Give or take. Right, anyway. So if I had that move down here, that was a very sharp, quick move. This, like, first move was quite fast. We came back up and then we dumped even more. And then obviously this is a V bottom, came up and we kept trending sideways. If you put a leverage trade in here, you're going to get liquidated. And this is exactly why you should be very careful with putting leverage in. Even on a 5x, and I'll save you the blatant math, a 20% move technically would liquidate you. Well, 20% move would be enough to bankrupt you on a 5x. Well, not bankrupt, but like you'd lose your money. But obviously, the exchange obviously wants to let you move about, what, 80% of that. So if you move 16% down, that's you liquidated. Is this a 16% move, 69 to what? On here it says it's 57. On my other chart it says it's 69, so you give or take what you want to say. Most exchanges will just wick it down to hit people's stop losses normally. And hence, if you do enter a trade like this, so let's say you see a dip down here, you want to enter a trade, you normally, you maybe enter here, you put your stop loss below the previous wick. That way, if it does get wicked down, you're safe still. It doesn't get wicked down too much. You want to put it at the extremes. That's how you normally take a trade. So if you entered here, for example, if you're about to take this trade, you entered here as a long, entered over here, put your stop loss here, and then also you put your take profit wherever you want to take profit. That's normally how you take a good trade. You want to put your stop losses, because I did do a little short on stop losses, put your stop loss below the extreme, below the extreme, below the extreme. Well, okay, that's actually not an extreme, but yeah, you get the idea. So, we've gone a bit of a rant of leverage trading, but I don't want you lot to be over-leveraging yourselves, because it does happen a lot, so you don't want to do that. Alright, I'm going to do a couple more. I did just say I was going to do Bitcoin, but I'll do a few more. Go to the SPX. Right, so this is the S&P 500. This is an index. This is a stock, for those who do not know. The S&P 500 has been around for a very, 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 very long time. Like, we're talking like something stupid here. Like, it's been around since, like, what, the 1800s? So, for those who don't know what it is, and you're just into crypto, this is a stock, obviously. A good thing to see, usually, is what is the S&P 500 actually doing, because this does sometimes give a bit of an indication for where everything else could also be going. So, if we take a look at this, on the S&P 500, this is from, like, what, 2021? So, the S&P 500, if we use our normal knowledge on trading, you can use your, obviously, I would say, you can use your technical analysis from patterns and stuff on most things. So, that's a cup and tea handle, obviously. Now, this cup and tea handle has broken. We had to move up, give or take, move that up. Haven't fully gone all the way. So that's a cup and tea handle, obviously. Now, the interesting thing here is this is similar to what we're forming on the Bitcoin chart, so that could be what it is. This is not a fairly curved bottom either. This is, again, if we look at it carefully, that is a... I'll draw it for you a lot. Hold on a sec. That is technically a head and shoulders. Which, obviously, we had a retest over here, and then we broke. So it could be very well a head and shoulders pattern as well. Just gonna be wary of that. So the S&P 500 right now, as you can see, is we've just been obviously breaking out, we're moving up in a very bizarre channel. So this is not a rising wedge, for those of you who know what a rising wedge is. This is not really a rising wedge. So for a rising wedge, you have to have something similar to this. So your rising wedge would be, you have a move like that. That's your support and that's your resistance. A rising wedge normally, right, is something like this. So you have, you move into it, you move up, down, up, down, whatever, right? But the interesting thing is you actually wick at like the support and resistance, because you expect high volume at the support and resistance, and that's why if you look at most rising wedges or most patterns, you'll see wicks at the top, as you can see here. So you see wicks. On this chart, we're not doing that. This is more of a channel than it is a rising wedge. You see, we're not really wicking and touching the support as we would be on like most charts. So be wary of that as well. This is also just trending up since this was a cup of tea handle pattern. So yeah, let's go look at silver. I will do gold after this, but we'll go for silver first. Silver, right, this is quite interesting on the silver chart. If you look at this, what do you see? Personally, I don't really see much, because it just looks like pointless consolidation, but actually if you zoom in a bit, this, if you get our head and shoulders pattern drawing thing out, that would be a inverse head and shoulder. Depends how you want to draw it, to be honest. Draw it like that. That's technically an inverse head and shoulders pattern on the silver chart. Now, the interesting part about this, right, is this is actually a pattern inside of a pattern. So if we go on maybe the weekly chart, it might look a bit nicer. Maybe not on the weekly chart. On a daily chart. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit harder to see on here, to be honest. Can you see this better? Yeah, you can see this better on this chart. It looks more like head and shoulders in this chart. So, yeah. Currently, silver is actually at $25. That is insane, to be honest, because I remember seeing it when it was down here, which was like, what? Like only a couple of months ago. That's a 20% increase from like what, October? We're in March now. That's like 6 months, 20%. That's a decent move for silver, because silver most of the time, if you look at it, majority of the time does absolutely nothing. Consolidation, rarely moves anywhere. This is quite interesting though. So this head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, if it was to break, that puts silver quite a bit higher at about $35. That is a very, very, very large price move up, especially on the silver chart, and that would be amazing. Will it happen? God knows. Nobody knows. This is the thing with analysis. I give you the idea. I'm not giving you financial advice. I give you a bit of an idea of what could happen, what might not happen, just so you lot are a bit more aware of, how the chart works. But that's what you do. You watch analysis videos for the sake of learning, a little bit more what could happen, but don't take, like, for a lot of YouTubers, don't take what they say to heart. Don't use exactly what they say. Like, if somebody on the chart says, oh, this is definitely an inverse head and shoulders, you should buy now, don't do that. That's a horrible idea. Nobody knows where anything's going to go. Yes, you can draw patterns and somewhat predict where it's going to go, but again, you can still be wrong. Because there are plenty of examples of where you draw something and yeah, this looks like an inverse head and shoulders. We might break up, come down, and then we go even lower, which go like really low. So you have got to be wary of that. Because obviously, you don't know where it's going to go. Now, the interesting thing here, what I was going to say earlier, this is actually a pattern inside of a pattern. If you look at this, so you've got a keen eye. It is quite hard to see patterns on this chart, since it is just pointless consolidation a lot of the time. That is obviously a support. We've bounced here once, 2, 3, maybe a lot more than 2 or 3. Like there's a lot of bounce down here. And we've bounced again. Right, now, the interesting thing here, this is quite a large pattern. It depends how you want to draw this. I'd argue something like that. Depends. It depends how you want to draw it. Because it could be something like that, or it could be something like that. It depends. If you go for the wicks, you don't have to go for the wicks. Some people might not go for the wicks. Some people just draw what looks good. I tend to just draw what looks good. That is obviously a symmetrical triangle. That is back from about 20, give or take start 2020 all the way up to now. That's a 4-year pattern. So symmetrical triangles tend to form on larger time frames, and 4 years is a fairly decent time frame. And this is on the weekly chart as well. That would be a symmetrical triangle. Now, the interesting thing about symmetrical triangles is they can break. If you take the measured move from, let's say, here, from the back end of the triangle, which is what you're supposed to do, they can actually break up and down. So, not to scare you lot. If that was to break down, that would be very, very unfortunate for silver. That'd be $8. Will that happen? I hope not. But no, to be honest, actually, no, I kind of do hope it does, because I would buy a shitload of silver. Like, I would just buy, like, absolute, like, heaps of silver and just pile it into my room, to be honest, if that happened. That'd be amazing. Will it happen? Let's be realistic, probably not. Since there is an inverse head and shoulders. So this is a symmetrical triangle, obviously. But we also do have an inverse head and shoulders inside this pattern, too. As you can see here. That was a bad line. Let's get rid of that. That is also a inverse head and shoulders in this. So it could be a sign that we do actually trend higher. That is horribly drawn. Let's go back on the daily and we'll draw on the daily. Alright, let's get the head and shoulders out. Also, I would cut these bits out. I don't know how to edit, so for the time being, they stay in. Try and draw it something like that. At one point, if start getting more viewers and more subscribers, stay consistent, I will start editing the videos. But right now, they are just going to be just one recorded. And to be honest, like, this is exactly a good way to actually see, to be honest, with a lot of YouTubers. A lot of YouTubers cut quite a lot out, and sometimes they make mistakes, they'll cut it out. I just let you lot see the mistakes, I'm not really that bothered. I'd rather you lot see, because you've got to understand not everybody's perfect, and not everybody can, 100% guess what's going to go on, and that's 100%, So, if that was the case and we broke down, that'd be quite interesting. On the contrary, though, so we put $35 previously. If we move this upwards from break, let's say we broke here, that puts us at $40. That would actually be insane. That would practically, from a couple of months ago, from here, back in October, that's already 20% up, and from $20 up to $40, that's a double. If that was to happen, that would be amazing. If this was to happen, to be in all honesty, I don't think many people would be very happy about that. In my opinion, I'd be quite happy because I'd buy a load of silver, but for those of you who already own your silver, I guess maybe it's not a good thing. And you'll see an inverse head and shoulders and a symmetrical triangle. This is a bit more of an indication. This is why you should look for other patterns too when you're drawing. Because sometimes you might see a symmetrical triangle and be like, oh, it could break up or down. If you want a bit of a head start, a bit of a head lead to look at, there you go. You can look for other patterns inside of it as well. Because that does make it a bit more, what's the word? More interesting to look at that way. It depends how you want to draw this head and shoulders. This could have actually already broken out. Depends how you decide to draw this. Something like that, maybe. If you want to move that up to there, and that up to there. That could already be broken and we're retesting, but it's hard to see on the weekly time frame, since it's a huge time frame. Normally what I like to do is that if I was going to trade this, I'd wait for it to break, like the symmetrical triangle. This is a badly drawn symmetrical triangle as well, because this could obviously easily, like, it could just extend. Like, if we put another high up here, and we just extend up to here. And this head and shoulders pattern might just play out like something like this. So this is another thing that you got to be wary of. Right? We could very well, right? This plays out, I don't know, something like this. It plays out. We hit a top up here. and we trend back down, and then we do actually end up breaking down. So this pattern could actually play out inside of the symmetrical triangle, as well. So you got to be wary of that too. So be prepared for stuff like this, and this is exactly why you should set stop losses when you enter, in case the trade reverses, and be wary of everything that could go on. Right, gold. Good old gold. To be honest, if you bought gold about 10 years ago, to be in all honesty, I don't even know how much it's moved since the last 10 years. It's down here. You'd be up practically double, let's say. That's 2015 actually, 2014. Yeah, you'd be, if we took the exact date of today, so about, we'll say 31st of March. 31st of March, about 1300. We're at what? 2,200 now. Contrast to that, if you bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, you'd probably be a millionaire. You probably wouldn't be sat watching this if you bought it 10 years ago, to be honest. Because you'd probably be sat somewhere in, like, I don't know, Hawaii, partying. But yeah, the gold chart on the weekly, we have obviously not really been doing much, to be honest. It doesn't really move very much, gold. And it's my interesting thing with gold. It hasn't really moved anywhere. Could that be head and shoulders? No, not head and shoulders. It hasn't really done anything, to be honest. So I can't really analyze gold. That's the thing. I don't really see very much. Like if I take a look at the daily chart over here, well, at worst, the best I can see here is that's a flag. All right. Take a measure and move for something like that. Move that up. Flag. There you go. That's at best what I see on this chart. There isn't really much else I can really see on this chart. That gives us a decent price range up here, like what, 2000, like 3-ish, 400-ish. That's about it, really. There's not really much else on the gold chart. The gold chart is very, very slow. The patterns work on all charts, but it is very slow. This does look like a flag, and it does look like we have validated, and we are moving upwards. Draw something like that. Lower highs. I mean, lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low. Maybe not so much of a lower low, but yeah. You've moved up, broke, come down, retested, and now we're moving up. Fairly reasonable. Right, for the sake of the video, I'm gonna do one more coin. And the only reason I'm going to do this is because this is just absurd, to be honest. Right, let's just take something into consideration here. So this is the current Dogecoin chart. Wait, there's a dog on the screen that just popped up here. I don't know if you lot saw it in the video. Yeah, when you go on the Dogecoin chart, usually there's a Doge pops up here for like a very couple of seconds. Right, the Dogecoin chart. Let's just actually look at this and take this in for a second. So, we had this, obviously, this is back when it first was made, back in like, this is not even that older a chart, because I think it was actually made before this. This is a newer chart from when it was listed on Binance. We were at, what, 75 cents on this chart. On some charts it's actually a bit higher. You know, does it move down, consolidated, and we've gone up now. Right, the interesting thing here on the Dogecoin chart is, yesterday, that candle is a 20% candle. So we moved up to about 23 cents from about 19 cents. That is a give or take about a 20% candle. It was about 23% when I looked on Binance yesterday. This chart has been going absolutely bonkers. And it's partly due to the fact that I think Elon Musk did tweet. I think he does technically play quite a bit of a part in Dogecoin for some reason. Would it be market manipulation? Probably not. He probably just likes the coin. And if you have that much of a following and people, obviously, what's the word? If you have that much of a following and you say something, people are going to buy it. So you can't really blame him for market manipulation there, to be honest, in my opinion. On the Dogecoin chart, is there actually anything to analyze here? Let's be realistic. If you genuinely look at that, again, there isn't much to analyze. But what I am going to say on this chart is, you know when you have a nice move upwards, right? like a consistently decent move upwards. This is actually quite a healthy chart because we had a nice move upwards from about 8 cents all the way up to about 20 cents, and we had a nice correction, a 40% correction down to 12 cents. That is very, very healthy, and Dogecoin is a lot healthier than what Bitcoin is currently in terms of market, because it has actually had a nice 40% correction, and then we've moved upwards now from there. That is a fairly healthy correction that you like to see on charts. Compared to Bitcoin, we actually haven't seen like a very nice correction yet. A 20% at most is decent, but we haven't really seen like a absurd correction yet. I've got a tablet power saving mode thing. What's it called? Battery low. That's it. Battery low. So yeah, we have had a nice retest over here. So it's quite good. If you draw a Fibonacci retracement, if I can find where it is again. From here to here. What's actually going on here? Not really much, to be honest, in terms of Fibonacci retracement. If you go for Bitcoin, for example, though, this will be the last thing I do because the battery is going to die, and this is like 46 minutes already. Alright, the Bitcoin chart. We will go for the 4 hour, I think. Let's say we draw it from high up here, give or take, and we draw it down to give or take about here, below that previous low down here. So draw it to this low over here. Right, on this chart, we have respected the 0.5 level quite well. We had a nice bounce over here at the 0.5 level. We've had a nice bounce on the 0.786 level as well. We could break through this level and come down, and then that's how we form our head and shoulders, if that's what's going to happen. So we could have like a nice trend, something like this. We come down to maybe the 0.385 level, 382 level I mean, or we come down to the 0.236 level, if that's ahead. That'd be quite low, that'd be still somewhat reasonable. If it's something like this, that'd be more, like, let's be conservative. If that's what happens for our head and shoulders. So we come back up, we go back up to the 0.5 level, and then we put a head in something like that. I put a shoulder in something like that. That is something that could happen here with the Fibonacci retracement, because we have respected the levels quite well. If you take a look at this, respected the 0.786 level over here, respected it over here. Again, we've come down here, we respected it again, so it is a pretty good strong level. Over down here we respected the 0.5 level as well, so it has been quite well, it has been quite good. If you actually extend this, obviously I'm not going to draw it out again, but over here this is the 0.382 level, so we did only slightly dip below it, and that wick, it depends on from exchange to exchange, because some exchanges only dip down to 59, some exchanges they dip down slightly below. So we did technically respect that level as well over here at 0.382. So it has been following the Fibonacci retracement quite well too. So if we decided to come down, I don't really see, this is quite strong support, as because this is a strong resistance, so hence it'll be strong support as well. So that is a good sign. Over here, this wasn't really very strong, so if we do break down, we will break down below this. We had a bounce over here. Likely if we hit again, I don't think we're going to bounce again, so we're looking about here if it comes down. And that's the bearish case scenario. However, in like as a whole, this chart is currently quite bullish. Like, it's not very much else you can say. It is genuinely very bullish. On the 4 hour chart, yeah, this could be a cup and handle pattern. This is like the summary part, by the way. So it could be a cup and handle pattern. If we retest over here, and we actually retest and we don't go below it, that could be a cup and handle pattern. If we retest here, something like that, that's curved. That could be a cup and handle pattern, and then we trend upwards. That's fine, that could happen. On the daily chart, this could end up being a head and shoulders pattern instead of being a cup and T handle if we do trend lower. This is more or less just a waiting game before you take your trade, to be honest. And it could end up being a head and shoulders pattern, something like that. This is very sloppily drawn, but yeah. It could end up being a head and shoulders pattern as well, because it does look like a bit of a shoulder. It's more or less just a waiting game here to see what happens. Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. So it is obviously just a waiting game. But that's exactly what being a trader is. You gotta wait for a nice confirmation before taking this trade. Personally, since I kind of think this is a shoulder, I'm not going to take this trade unless I see like a move above the previous all-time high, which is what 70. We're just gonna say 74k, because like this is a 10k move up. If this is a 10k move up from if that's a cup and tea handle, that puts us quite high. Personally, in my opinion, we could get a fake out above up to here, maybe like here, something like that if it does retest. Because sometimes you can confirm the pattern, come up, and then just come back down again. So you gotta be wary of that. Personally, for the sake, I probably wouldn't take this trade unless it goes above 74k, so above the previous all-time high, and then I'd be considering, okay, I might take the trade for a couple of percent on a low leverage because it is quite risky in my eyes. What I'm hoping for is this head and shoulders pattern to form, and if this does form, that would be amazing, because that would be good consolidation, a good move down, nice consolidation for a good time frame as well. This would be from March 14th to like maybe mid-May. That'd be pretty good on this chart as well, because that would be a good indication that we have had a nice consolidation prior to halving, had a nice drop, and we go higher. Normally prior to halving, two things happen. Either we have a nice drop, or we have a nice consolidation, and then we move into the halving, and then we just go nuts. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have anything in particular you want me to analyze, could be anything, stocks, commodities, crypto, they all use the same chart patterns. It's all the same thing pretty much. They all use the same chart patterns. If you want me to analyze anything in particular, if you want to correct anything in this video, feel free. I'm happy to listen to constructive criticism. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. I'll post these market analysis videos once a week. And the reason why they'll be once a week is that way you can actually see the market play out, because these will be longer term videos. I might include some short term analysis every now and then if there's something interesting going on, but most of the time it will just be long term analysis. It will be once a week. Let's say in a week's time we come back and it is down here. That'd be a good indication that this is a head and shoulders pattern forming. It could also be a lot worse than that, which I'm going to show here. It could be... oh my god, it's not letting me draw. High, low, lower low. Maybe you come, I don't know, something like here, and then low, and it could just crash by like 60%. It's possible, but it's very unlikely, to be honest, at this point. Nothing's impossible, though. So, yeah. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'll post these videos once a week. Will be quite long. If we start getting more subscribers and more viewers and more people like this type of content, then I'll probably try to maybe do live streams on this as well, whether it's on Twitch or whether it's on YouTube. So yeah, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.